So I've gathered 22 of the best tips to help you get started decluttering, or to help you if you feel like you're at a point where you're just kind of stuck. Because your home is for living in, not just storing your stuff. How does it sound to have a completely decluttered house in 2022 that is easier to maintain, easier to clean, and just easier to manage? Together, let's conquer the clutter in our homes in 2022 so that no matter what else happens this year, because goodness knows what will happen this year. Let's not even think about the last 2 years. 2022 is going to be a great year because we are going to conquer the clutter together and get control of our homes. Hi guys, welcome to Simple and Healthy Mama. I'm Kate. If you haven't subscribed already and you're interested in more of this type of content, please consider subscribing below and hit the notification bell. I also always appreciate the compliment of a thumbs up down below, and the best compliment you can give me is to share my content with others. 2 little things you can do to really help out us teeny tiny YouTubers. I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers. That's like so many, right? Anyway, thanks for being here. I really do appreciate it. I started learning about minimalism about 3 years ago, and I have read books on it. I have listened to so many YouTube videos. While I'm painting different rooms in our house, I just have those running, and I have picked up a lot of tips. I haven't utilized all of them yet in my own house. My house is not perfect yet. Well, it's never going to be perfect. My house is not where I want it to be yet, but I think that I had to completely change my mindset in order to get into minimalism. Now, I realize not everyone wants to be a minimalist, but I think everybody wants to live in a space that doesn't feel super cluttered. Number 1, there is no cutoff for how many things you have to own to be a minimalist. So call yourself one or not. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you can use your home in the way that you want to be able to use it, and that you're not spending so much time managing your stuff. You want your stuff to serve you and not the other way around. The minimalists say, use things, love people, because the opposite never works. Love people, use things, love people. There are many ways to get there. Different styles for different people. You're gonna have to figure out what works for you. You can do the onion method where you just peel away a layer at a time and just keep going through your house. You can go around and put Post-it notes on every area that you're going to declutter, saying how many minutes you think that area will take you. And then when you have 5 minutes free or 10 minutes free, you go do one drawer that has the 5 or 10 minute Post-it note on it. You could do a packing party, which is also from the Minimalists. Ryan talked about how he packed up everything he owned, and then I think for the next month, he just pulled out only the things that he needed, and then that was it. That was all he kept. He got rid of the rest. If you have trouble getting rid of stuff, it might work really well for you if you have maybe boxes, and it's best if they can be like cardboard boxes that you can donate the items in. But you make your maybe box and then put it in your basement or your garage or even the trunk of your car for a set amount of time. So give yourself a month or whatever you think is reasonable for those items. And then in that amount of time, if you haven't used those, you know that you don't really need them. And you want to put them in a cardboard box that you can donate them in, because if you go back through and touch everything again, you're going to want to keep more of it when you already said that these are things you could maybe get rid of. So just donate it. If you didn't need anything in it, just donate it. Some people use checklists where it tells you different areas of your house to go through, and you can use that to keep track of what you've already done and what you still need to do. So kind of going room by room or category by category. And the last one that I think is pretty popular is the Minimalism Game. I haven't tried this, but I know a lot of people have and really like it, where you get rid of 1 item the first day of the month, 2 items the second day of the month, and so on until the end of the month. So in a 30-day month, you actually end up getting rid of 465 items. And in a 31-day month, you get rid of 496 items. So it's a really good way to jumpstart if you know that you've got a lot of stuff that you want to get through. If you could easily replace it and it's a maybe in your mind, just get rid of it. You can even have a rule for yourself, and you can set your own parameters. But an example would be, you can say if it would take $20 or less and 20 minutes or less to replace it, it goes. So that can really help with the maybe items as well, when you realize that they're not actually that hard to get again if you really needed to. There will be different for everyone. Getting there where you want to be can look completely different from your neighbor or your best friend or someone else in your family. It's going to depend on what your lifestyle is like, who you live with, where you live, the size of your house. The important thing is to get your possessions down to an amount that you feel you can really manage. You want to lower your inventory to a point where you can gracefully manage your life and not always be stressed about all of the stuff around you. Your clutter threshold, as Dana K. White says, could be very different from other people in your life, but you need to find yours, and you'll know when you get there because you will feel like you can actually manage that amount of stuff and that everything in your house or home has a place to go. Everything in your home has a home. Minimalism in decor is not the same thing as a minimalist mindset or being a minimalist. There's an entire style of home decorating that is considered minimalism or minimalist, and that's not at all what I'm talking about. I don't care if you have a lot of color or pattern in your home. That is lovely. You do you. Some people might like that decor style, but that's not what we're talking about really on this channel at all. I personally like the visual clutter to be somewhat limited, but I also do like some color and pattern. So you do you. This is not about your personal style. This is about living in your home. It's not about what you have less of. It's what you will have more of. For me, this relates to my why. Why am I doing this? I am doing this because I want to have more calm in my life. I want to have more time because I will save time on cleaning and managing stuff by becoming a minimalist. I want to have time to spend with my family and my friends because those are the most important things in my life. So minimalism for me means living a more intentional life. Hoarding is now considered an official disorder. What can go along with hoarding is a mindset that you have anxiety around getting rid of anything that you might need, whether that's a practical need or not. So you end up keeping more and more just in case items. And hoarding disorder tends to get worse over time. So it could start as early as the teenage years, but then by the time you're in middle age, it can be a serious problem that's actually causing your home to be unsafe, unclean, or just unusable, where there are areas of your house that you can't actually use the space for the function it's supposed to be for, like your dining table. If you can't dine on your dining table, that becomes a problem. If you think you need help for hoarding disorder, like all mental health issues, get the help. We need to destigmatize mental health. Mental health is healthcare. I have a serious qualm with keeping things just because you like them. I think sometimes Marie Kondo's question of does it spark joy gets misinterpreted and people use it as an excuse to keep stuff that they like. But I don't want to just keep stuff because I like it. I want to use it, and I want to use it enough to justify keeping it. For example, we had these little spiky handle things that you put in your ear of corn so that you can eat it without holding the hot corn or them getting butter all over your fingers. But we don't use them that much. So that's not something that to me seems like it's worth drawer space in my very limited drawers in my kitchen. So you might want to think, do I use it enough? And does it fit in my vision for what I want my future life to be? Do I want to keep cleaning it, storing it, maintaining it? Let's talk about gifts for a second. Once you have received a gift, and thanked the giver properly, which according to formal manners means if they gave it to you and you opened it in person, you thank them in person. For any other circumstance, you have written a thank you note. Then the gift is yours to do with what you like. They gave you the gift because they wanted to give you something. They wanted to bless you with that gift. They were trying to make your life more fun, easier, better. They were not trying to clutter your home. So if it doesn't work for you, you can just move it on, even if it's brand new, move it on to its rightful home. You can re-gift it, donate it, sell it, return it, do what you need to do. Don't keep clutter that you never even wanted. Toys. Kids do not need as many toys as you think. I look back at pictures from when we had our first baby and I cannot believe how much stuff we had. It is so unnecessary. And you know kids, they literally play with like toilet paper rolls and empty boxes, garbage, recycling. The fewer toys you have, the more creative they are anyway. So you should really just pick a couple categories of toys that are the most popular in your house and get rid of the rest. For us, that has been Legos. I know some people are like, oh, I don't want to step on the Legos. So worth it, guys. It's so worth it, at least for me. Our kids will play Legos together for hours, plural, hours, uninterrupted. I will sometimes just have to like lay out their lunch in the kitchen so that when they suddenly realize that they are famished because they missed lunch, they can come running in and dive into it face first. But I really try to not interrupt them when they're playing nicely, and Legos does it. So we love Legos, board games, crafts, Nerf stuff. Those are the categories of things that our kids really use. Most of the rest of the stuff we've gotten rid of or outgrown, and our kids are only 6 and 8. So you should pick which type of toys your kids use the most and then ditch the rest. Guilt clutter. So much clutter is guilt clutter. Guilt clutter comes in many forms. This is clutter that you keep because you feel guilty about getting rid of it. So back to gifts. We probably all have gifts that we have kept that we don't actually want, or never wanted, or never even liked. But we keep it because someone might come over and then it's supposed to be hanging on the wall, or you're supposed to wear it. No, get rid of it. This is just making you feel guilty. It's just another thing to do so that it gets stored in your like to-do list in your head and causes you extra stress. Guilt clutter can also be clothes that don't fit. I know, COVID. Almost all of us gained some weight during COVID. At least make it a maybe bin in the back of your closet, or preferably in your basement or somewhere outside of your closet, so that you don't have to see those items that don't even fit you, because they are not making you thinner. They are just making you feel bad. I find that I keep a lot of projects that I think I'm going to do, and then they just pile up, and then I feel bad that I'm not doing them and that I didn't fix that thing and I didn't mend that thing. But I keep too much. So that's something I've learned about myself, and if that's you as well, you might want to think about having a limit to how many projects or broken things you can keep in your home. Because none of this guilt clutter is serving us. Remember, you own your stuff. Don't let it own you. Get that stuff out of your home. Keeping something that you spent good money on does not make you richer. Leaving it at the store, never having bought it, would have been a better choice, so try and learn from your mistakes and move it on. This is especially true with clothing. A lot of us buy clothes that we don't end up wearing or liking for whatever reason, and you can't always tell when you try it on, especially if you buy it online and then maybe you meant to return it and you didn't, but you spent good money on it. This is not serving you. Maybe you can sell it, maybe you can give it to someone who would really appreciate it, send it into ThreadUp where you get credit, whatever you need to do, but get that out. And this will help you be a better gatekeeper, so not letting things into your home so easily. So I think a little bit of pain here is okay. You realize you made a mistake, try and learn from it for next time. Also, you might want to remember that the true cost of something is not the price that you pay at the store. This is good for people like me who are super frugal, and so when I see a really good deal, it's hard to resist. But you have to remember that there is also a cost of your time, your energy, your mental energy to owning and managing anything that you bring into your home. I tend to take this a step farther because I'm a really big environmentalist and I want to always donate or rehome something to the perfect place where it will definitely get used. So I'm a little bit of a masochist there because that definitely takes a lot longer, but it also makes me a really good gatekeeper because I know that once it comes in, I am responsible for it and I have to responsibly dispose of it. If you want to get through your clutter really quickly, I do not recommend being like me. I just can't not be like me. But I do kind of like that pain point. I like that it's going to encourage me to not ever have this much stuff in my home again. And it reminds me that I don't want to die and leave my family with a bunch of crap that they have to deal with. If you haven't heard of Swedish death cleaning, that's kind of what that is, and it can be done at any age. But the idea is you don't want to just burden other people with your stuff. Horizontal surfaces can be the biggest magnet for clutter to just pile and pile and pile up. If you find this is true in your home, you might have to just limit horizontal surfaces. We have had to do this. We don't have a coffee table, and I am loving that. Because the coffee table didn't ever have, a little moment in the corner of decor with some coffee table books and a plant or a candle. It was just piled with junk. So not having it there just gives us more space. It makes the space feel more open. The kids can play on that carpeted area. It's fabulous. Horizontal surfaces might be your enemy. Try and limit them or put very specific things on them, like kind of fill them up so that they don't get filled up. Let's talk about paper clutter. My 4 S's for paper clutter are system. Have a system. Stem the flow. Start on piles and stay with it. If you missed my decluttering paper clutter series, I will put it down in the description box so that you can watch it after this. It will really help you with paper clutter. I've been doing this system of paper clutter management for a year now, and I am in love with it. I just got a text today from my mom, and she's like, oh, I'm dealing with my piles. Piles. I have had those piles. I've had piles that we packed in a moving box. I didn't know what was in them, but I thought it might be important. Just piles of paperwork that needed to be gone through. And it is such a weight off my chest that we no longer have those piles because I have a system that works. Have a system, stem the flow of stuff incoming, then you get to attack your piles, and then all you have to do is stay with it. I'm here, it's a beautiful place to be. One of the best habits you can get into in your house is doing quick tidies often so that things don't get completely out of control. This can literally be 5 or 10 minutes, especially if you involve the whole family. Set a timer or have a certain song that you always play at the end of the day or after a certain activity, and you just rush around and clean up as much as you can during that time. It doesn't have to be finished, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it'll help you stay ahead of things instead of everything just getting worse and worse and worse throughout the week, and then you have to spend your whole weekend putting stuff away. Complete the task. I am really bad at this, but I've gotten so much better. I get really easily distracted. And especially as a stay-at-home mom, I find that as I walk through my house, everything is yelling at me that it needs to be done. Those Legos need to go back in the Lego area. Those pillow covers need washing. That needs dusting. Everything's talking to me and telling me what I need to do. But if I don't complete the task that I'm working on right now, then I end up completing just 10% of 100 different tasks in a day, and it can be really frustrating because I don't ever feel a sense of accomplishment, and so I am trying to focus on completing the task. For example, if you're cleaning the bathroom and the toilet paper needs to be refilled, go ahead and refill it then so that it's not just in the back of your head, oh yeah, I need to do that, and then the next time you go, there's no toilet paper. That's a whole other problem. One of my favorite phrases that I just have running on repeat in my head is from Dana K. White of A Slob Comes Clean, and she says, take it there now. This is pure genius. Thank you, Dana. Pure genius. This goes along with touch things once and complete the task. Try not to just set things down or sort things into piles to deal with later. If you're going through something and you just spread it all out into a million piles, you're making a bigger mess. You want to make progress by actually putting things where they need to go. So if it needs to go in the trash, put it in the trash. If it needs to go in the donate box, get it there. Put things back by just keeping that in the back of your mind. Take it there now. Do your kids read the Frog and Toad stories? They're so great. Toad doesn't want to do his chores today. So Frog keeps saying, you need to dust your furniture. And Toad says, tomorrow. You need to wash your clothes. Tomorrow. And then finally Toad realizes, if I just do it today, I won't have to spend tomorrow doing it. Take It There Now will really help ease the mental load, greatly reduce clutter, and help you see the progress that you're making. Be a better gatekeeper. I talked about this a little bit before, but this is super important. This means stop buying stuff at the dollar store or the dollar spot at Target just because it's cheap. Don't bring things into your home that you do not want to manage, clean, and properly dispose of. I used to jump on anything that was free or cheap because I am so frugal, and now I am so much more intentional about what I allow to come into my home. No more checking the clearance rack every time you're in a clothing store because you're going to end up buying something that doesn't quite fit right or isn't quite the right color or needs to be hemmed and you're never going to actually get it hemmed. So save yourself the trouble. Be a better gatekeeper. One of the best habits you can get into is that when you replace something in your home, you actually replace it and get rid of the old item. If you buy a new hairbrush, you throw away the old hairbrush because you bought the new hairbrush because the old hairbrush was no longer serving its purpose, so it needs to go. One in, one out. That's your new rule. We're almost to the end here, guys. Stay with me. For number 21, I actually have a minimalism joke for you. How can you tell which of your friends are minimalists? Well, that's easy. They're the ones that are always borrowing stuff from me. It's true. So that's my 21st tip, is just borrow stuff. If we are going to use a tool over and over and over, we might go ahead and buy it, but I have found that a lot of things you don't need to own because you can borrow them and then return them to your friend or neighbor, and you don't have to store them. Our Buy Nothing group is great about letting people borrow things. So like within the group, we have 2 tampers for landscaping. So when you need a tamper, you know you can ask on there, you can borrow it. there's not much of a chance that more than 2 people are doing landscaping projects at the same time, and otherwise it's just sitting there. We had some neighbors who lived right next to each other and they just shared a lawnmower, which is brilliant. Why would every single home have a lawnmower, a seed spreader, rakes, leaf blowers, snow blowers? Just share them. We've also taken to co-owning things with some of our really close friends, and this has been amazing. Our friend's house is bigger than ours and has a lot more storage space, so we co-own some things with them that we don't have space for, but we do want to own, like a power sprayer, a trailer actually, to like pull behind and haul stuff. And so these items live at their house, and the advantage for them is it's right there if they need it. But if we need to use it, we have to go over and get it, but we don't have to store it. So it's a symbiotic relationship. Last one, guys. Minimalism is a mindset and a lifestyle. You have to take the time to really think about why you want to change so that you don't just end up accumulating stuff again and filling up all of those spaces you're creating. This is the big one. This is where I have probably made the most progress. I had to listen to a lot of things about minimalism before I could really start moving toward it myself. Now I have a really solid sense of purpose, and I think 2022 is the year in which I'm going to really actually call myself a minimalist. I promise it definitely gets easier as you go. Think of it as a decluttering muscle. So as you practice your decluttering, you are strengthening that muscle, and it actually will get easier and easier to lift that load. Some people find change easier than others. Some people change more easily. Everyone has a different story, so stop comparing yourself to other people. You can do this. As Brené Brown says, we can do hard things. So until next time, you've got this, guys.